Welcome to Mind Shock. This is your host, Bruce McGuire. And we are finally tackling the Eric Dubay enigma. Is Eric Dubay connected to the CIA? Is all of Flat Earth itself, Flat Earth being let out of the bag per se, by agents, MK Ultra or not, like Eric Dubay? Is this theory viable in any way? Is Eric Dubay's rise to interweb prominence suspect in any way? We'll be examining all of this and more in typical Mind Shock fashion, with logic and reason at the forefront, unlike anything else out there. If you want to help support the podcast, you can donate to our PayPal. Check the link in the description. Make sure you're subscribed, like, and share. Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, and Patreon. Patrons do get priority for case topic, logical analysis, co-podcaster requests. You could also be a guest on the podcast, depending on your tier. Questions, comments, theories, thoughts, suggestions, rebuttals, or debunkings of any kind, leave them in the comment section. Wow, in all these years, that's the first time I flubbed the opening. That's hilarious. Okay, you could also become a YouTube member right here on YouTube. Help support the channel that way. Okay, Eric Petersman in the chat says, nope, it is not a CIA Psyop. And just to clarify, CIA Psyop does not mean Flat Earth isn't true. A Psyop is a psychological operation. In many cases, we obviously, unless you have all the top secret clearances, if the operation is true, how would you know what the goals of the PSYOP are? How would you know what aspects of the PSYOP are disinfo versus truth? So it being a PSYOP, for example, one of my theories, again, I'm not claiming it is true or untrue, it is simply a theory. It is food for thought, for logical discussion, that all of these anti-Flat Earth grifters coming out of the woodwork, like Craig of Fight the Flat Earth, all these mouthpieces, establishment mouthpieces like Neil deGrasse Tyson, Bill Nye, all these goofs, anybody that brings up Flat Earth, like some of these comedians, they're all part of the CIA PSYOP, intentionally defending the globe Earth so poorly as to increase Flat Earth membership, because they use the dumbest argument. If the Earth was flat, you would see London from New York hallucinating. There's no such thing as a precipitation. There's no such thing as a visibility index. Like, the level of retardation brought forth in the mainstream by mainstream goofs trying to so-called debunk Flat Earth, it's so laughable, it's hard to believe. I mean, call it an appeal to incredulity, logical fallacy. It may very well be. It is. It's hard to believe that this level of goofery is unintentional. Like, it seems like they're intentionally putting forth the worst arguments possible for the Earth being a globe in order to intentionally increase Flat Earth membership, in order to destabilize the world, to usher in the New World Order more easily, when there's absolutely no respect for the establishment in any way. They could, when things get destabilized to a certain point, you could roll out martial law and then the New World Order agenda, etc. So that has nothing to do with it being true or false. I mean, it could be either situation. And the PSYOP could still function the same way, simply to bring about destabilization. Monty says they call it conspiracy theory when all they have is the science of the gaps. Well, I would call it the scientism of the gaps, because those claiming to be following science, I mean, how many times has a mainstream goof ever even invoked the word science correctly? They're just talking about scientism. They're talking about blind faith in corrupt authorities. We got a illiterate in the chat. Crisp Kiwi has been crashing out on Twitter for over an hour, indulging their humiliation fetish, demonstrating absolute illiteracy for an hour straight. You got a long way to go, Crisp Kiwi. There are some goofs that have crashed out in humiliation, cope spiraled for a week. for a week, 7, 8 days. I mean, you're not even a full day. You've only been crashing out for an hour. You got to bring up your humiliation fetish game if you want to beat some of these records. It's hilarious how a lot of these illiterates, they all hallucinate. People have some kind of obligation to answer fallacious questions while they have failed to even grasp preschool level English. They think everybody should just answer their questions when they don't even know that they haven't even demonstrated the basic understanding basic definitions of words. Oh man, you're gonna have to come back for a live, Crisp Kiwi. We stay on topic here. So, okay, if you want to come back for a live, you can ask a live Q&A. You can ask any questions you want. Here, we're going to stay on topic here. If you want to talk about Eric Dubay and Flat Earth being a psyop, feel free. But notice how that Crisp Kiwi goof was so triggered, they had to come over from Twitter to get in here to continue the humiliation cult spiral. Oh, man. I mean, I really do have to say, if it wasn't... I mean, Twitter is better than Comedy Central or any kind of entertainment. I mean, just the amount of humiliation fetishists on there willing to humiliate themselves for strangers online. I mean, it's just hilarious. I mean, for people who find Dunning-Kruger stylings amusing. If you don't find that amusing, then obviously, yeah, Twitter might not be for you. TJ Hoff, you missed nothing. We're just starting right now. Wait, is it Eric Dubay moved out of Thailand? I thought he was always based in Thailand. I think that was a woman, Eric Petersman. I'm not sure. Like, a lot of these triggered feminists, they don't know, like, the basic definitions of words. So, yeah. I don't know. Could have been a soy boy, maybe. Could have been one of these people who doesn't know what they are. They don't know what they are. They're very confused, clearly. I mean, they're not even on preschool literacy, so... yeah. But I'm gonna go over... I found one video... that kind of goes over the background, so we'll examine that. But first, do you guys want to go through Math Powerland too? Just to kind of trace the origins? I mean, I do want to... we're going to mostly focus on Dubay, but I believe Math Powerland was the first... somebody correct me if I'm wrong. On the timeline, wasn't Math Powerland the very first guy to come out with Flat Earth? I think he originally just talked about moon landing. And then he mentioned Flat Earth. Wow, that's interesting. Eric Petersman in the chat saying Eric Dubay said he has been in Maine for the last 3 years. That's weird. Next chapter says Eric moved back to the States. I wonder what facilitated that. That might... yeah, I wonder. Does anybody know? Because wasn't he in Thailand for many, many years? Why would he randomly move back to Maine for 3 years and then back to Thailand? I mean, maybe... I mean, obviously there could have been a reason. Work, family, whatever. But his family... we'll actually get into it. His family's actually... and him... he's from Langley, Virginia. He's from the Langley, Virginia area CIA headquarters. And that's why it makes this so interesting. Out of all of the tens of thousands, like the 30 to 50,000 towns or incorporated areas in the United States, out of all those tens of thousands, he just happens to be from the one place where the CIA is primarily based. So that's kind of curious. Well, let's go through Math Powerland. Let's make this comprehensive, as we always do. Let's look at the very... I believe this is the very first... Math Powerland, or this is one of the first interviews where he mentions the background and all of this, because, see, is it possible Math Powerland was kind of like a Bob Lazar, where they wanted to see what would happen? So regardless of whether it's true or not, regardless of whether there's flat or not, if part of the psychological operation was to be to gauge public reaction, I do wonder if he's kind of like the Bob Lazar, And then perhaps Dubay is the MK Ultra operative. The Manchurian candidate MK Ultra operative simply jumping when his controllers say jump. But let's look here. So there's no date here. It says between 2008 and 2011. 2008 would be crazy for Flat Earth rollout. But most of the Flat Earth content started popping up on the internet around 2015, like when it was getting popular. It was about 2015-ish. Because I actually remember seeing a lot of that. So, yeah, let's see what we got here. I actually haven't watched this in a really long time. I believe I actually saw this around 2015, this particular video.
Hi. You're obviously attracting a lot of attention these days with your NASA channel.
Yeah, NASA took out NASA television on the internet. So.
And we'd like to know a bit more about you. What's your background? What made you a sudden specialist?
Can anybody place the interviewer's accent? Is that Russian?
With the shape of the Earth.
I can't tell. Definitely sounds European.
Well, if I tell you it's a certain thing, and without having an instrument to prove it for over 1,000 years, let's say 500, I'll be generous, and there's no instrument or exploration of the surface, but you tell everybody it's that, if you're wrong, are you going to tell everybody?
Good question.
There's a lot riding here. Everybody who's got a degree in physics, the credibility of every university institution over the past 500 years, the concept of...
Is anyone else still finding it crazy if this was actually 2008? That would be crazy if this was 2008. I mean, even 2011 is crazy enough. I'm trying to really remember, was there some random Flat Earth stuff? Because if he uploaded, I don't know if he uploaded this to his channel in 2011. I'm not sure. I'm trying to really remember some of that Flat Earth stuff. Perhaps 2013. I mean, I don't think I saw the stuff in 2013. It was probably closer to 2015 for me, but...
Darwinism, evolution, where we're from. If they lie about the shape, everything falls apart. Even the notion of scarcity, especially if there's more real estate, more land, more resources, more oil.
And what about you? Where do you come from?
Your imagination.
Meaning, what's your background, your studies, what...
Self-taught. High realist painter. Started painting at the age of 3. So before my brain was gotten a hold of by curriculums and schools, I was already well on my way in understanding perspective on the horizon line. Like how to draw perspective, three-dimensional reality form. My goal at a very young age was to be able to reproduce paintings that looked like reality, like a camera took it. It's just this weird fetish I've always had since I was very young. When you would look at an image, I would have the photo right next to the image, and I'd really get off on confusing people whether they could decide. And I'd say, which one's the photo? And I would get off. It's been this freaky fetish I've always had to watch people's eyes sort of scramble. And they would come up closer, and I'd be, no, 6 feet. You have to decide from 6 feet. In this case, when it comes to a picture of the Earth from space, not only will no one ever go up in a rocket to check out if it does look like that, but it's more than the distance of 6 feet.
So you were hired by NASA not because of your knowledge in astronomy, just because of your talent at painting?
They enjoyed the way I painted things made things look real, like my understanding of light. How I could take something that doesn't exist in reality after a certain point. I surpassed needing photos, and I could basically construct things that don't exist, understanding how light would hit form. And they recruited me after a vernissage, after I graduated from political science intelligence at a Jesuit school in Canada, known as St. Francis Xavier. They recruited me at a university exhibition.
So now you have a connection to a Jesuit school openly admitted. Interesting. So in 2008 to 2011, I actually don't even remember, obviously the hardcore conspiracy crowd knew about the Jesuits, but Jesuits were not in the so-called mainstream conspiracy sphere. I think Jesuits were also kind of post-2015-ish. I don't know, what does everybody make of that? The Jesuit school connection.
And what was your job like?
Well, in the beginning it was like, we'd like to see some samples of textures and stuff like that, and they started really pushing me into using, different types of spill effects.
So real quick on the timeline, I'm having AI peruse the Internet Archives. It actually says that Flat Earth was being discussed on Usenet groups. So various internet forums and Usenet. Who remembers Usenet? That was actually kind of popular back in the day. Is that still around? That'd be crazy. So Usenet? So it's still around? Huh. Usenet news groups. Huh. Interesting. Interesting. So AI scoured the internet, and it's saying it was around in the 90s. So, like I said, I remember geocentric Earth being discussed on various forums. But, man, I do not remember Flat Earth Usenet groups. I wonder, is anybody still around from back then? I mean, I would imagine it would not have been the younger crowd. So if you were older, like quite a bit older in the 90s, I don't know, maybe you're still not alive today, or you're in a nursing home and you're not on the internet right now. But if you are, if anybody was around back in the Flat Earth Usenet days from the 90s, it would be interesting to have anybody from back then do an interview or share information on exactly how much of it was discussed and what was the catalyst, like what, because I mean people made jokes, yeah, the earth is what did they say about the earth being flat? Was it just satire, like, yeah, and the earth is flat? Like that kind of joke's been around, like a sarcastic type of joke. Like, yeah, and I'm the Queen of England or whatever, like in that kind of style. People used to say that forever, probably in the 80s, and actually probably for decades and decades and decades. But when was it first seriously discussed as a conspiracy theory? Like what year in the 90s? And does anybody have any archived actual posts? Because there's just some references to it being discussed, but I don't see an actual archive of the posts. I will try to find it, but I don't know. So apparently, they were alt-culture news groups, scientific skepticism, so they were alt.sci.skeptic, also talk.origins. So supposedly it was pretty active, and then it became less active by 2000, which is interesting, isn't it? So I don't see exact numbers here, but they were saying there were hundreds, if not thousands. So there were potentially thousands of members or people discussing, not necessarily believers, but people discussing it. And then supposedly by 2000, the numbers were less, in the hundreds. And then the Flat Earth Society disbanded in 2001. I mean, that's I mean, I just find this very, very interesting, because if this is a flat earth psyop, or controlled, this is all controlled ops, and the Flat Earth Society would have been controlled the whole time. So, you know, they had their whatever, magazines or whatever. In the 70s, they had 3,500 members between the 70s and the 80s. So they put out flyers and publications, Flat Earth News, like a tabloid. It was $6 to $10 in the US. So I'm actually kind of curious. So, yeah, apparently Charles K. Johnson, the leader of the Flat Earth Society, 3,500 memberships, but then there was a fire at his house in 1997 which destroyed all records and contacts of the members. And then his wife, who helped manage the membership database, died shortly thereafter, and then he died himself March 19th, 2001. And then in 2004, Daniel Shenton resurrected the Flat Earth Society. There was also Thomas Dolby, who put out an album. Do people know this? Thomas Dolby put out an album in 1984. Does anybody know the name? Well, the name of the album was called The Flat Earth, and it was put out in 1984. That's a very interesting year to put out an album called The Flat Earth. This is the cover of the album. Kind of weird. Make of it what you will. So he put out this album in 1984. So it's an English new wave synth pop album. It got to number 14 on the UK albums chart. And the first single, Hyperactive, peaked at number 17 on the UK singles chart. This is kind of wild. This is kind of this is mainstream. This is mainstream, and it even got to number 35 on the US Billboard 200. It got to number 35. This is crazy. So it's the original LP. Side A was Dissidents, interesting name for a track, and Flat Earth, and then Scream Kiss. Side B was White City, Mulu the Rainforest, I Scare Myself with Dan Hicks. And then number 7 was Hyperactive. Interesting. So this album actually got people to look into Flat Earth and the Flat Earth Society with that name. So that's actually pretty curious. Pretty curious. That's quite curious. Huh. What does everybody think about that? So that got people interested in the Flat Earth Society, and the guy that resurrected it credits the album for getting interested in it. Huh. So it officially relaunched October 2009. So that is interesting. I wonder if that was in a response to Math Powerland and his videos in 2008. I think most of them were closer to 2011, but then you had the Canadian Flat Earth Society, which coincidentally established November 8th, 1970 by philosopher Leo Ferrari. I wonder if there's any relation to the car company. Writer Raymond Fraser and poet Alden Nolan. And it was active until when? Until 1984. In 1984, the Canadian Flat Earth Society folds, and then this UK album comes out. You can't make this stuff up. I mean, the coincidence stack here already is so high. I mean, this is so crazy. I mean, this is just weird. This is weird. But anyway, let me catch up on some comments here, and then we'll continue with Matt Powerline, and then get into Eric Dubay. Eric Petersman says, was his NASA employment ever verified? That's a great question. Somebody asked that before, and I remember it being addressed, and I don't remember the answer. Let me look that up real quick. So, the first thing I found was just an anonymous post on Reddit from Ditto is Lit. Make of it what you will. We are simply examining information. I'm not claiming it's true or untrue. I grew up near Matthew Boylan, aka Math Powerland, like a minute walk from his family home. His mother was a widow, I believe. He also has a sister close to my age. They didn't specify what the age was. He and his mother were often overheard yelling at each other, and from what I could tell, had somewhat of a rocky relationship. Matt is an incredible artist. I had the opportunity to see him painting in their backyard like he would often do, painting a photorealistic train, which was incredibly good and blew my mind as a young kid. After finishing school, he went on to dabble in stand-up comedy, and it can still be found on YouTube, poking fun at Quebec culture from the POV of an English-speaking Quebecer. He also has a bit where he would go on about how he could brainwash people of the most outrageous stuff by repetition and gaslighting. It would take a lot of searching to find these clips, but I do remember seeing them in the early 2010s on YouTube. That's an interesting topic. I do believe he indeed had contracts with NASA, but it was for touching up for photos they wanted to publish or sell. I don't have any first-hand knowledge of it, so take that with a grain of salt. He does seem to have some far-out beliefs, but I believe the whole flat earth thing was more of a troll to prove his brainwashing theory, more than something he had concrete beliefs about. I know this is an old post, but it came up when I was searching if he was still around. The last I've seen of him was painting floors and murals in an abstract action painting style, and this post was from 2025. So that's interesting. Let me see what else I can find on any kind of verification of NASA. So he was not listed in any NASA employee directories. So a couple people have looked into it. They just posted that he was a freelance artist who did work for NASA. So that's interesting. So he was supposedly a 1099 contractor. So he would not be listed in any full-time employee directories. But yeah, to date, I don't think he uploaded any of his forms. Yeah, so I don't see any verification or documents. A couple of sites listed him as an ex-NASA operational graphics manager, which is a very specific title. Yeah. So there you go. I don't know where that came from, but that's a very specific title. So, as far as I know, nobody has produced any official documentation. Next chapter says, who is this guy you're talking about? Math Powerline? Or Matt Boyland, rather? Next chapter says, yo, watch that nursing home talk. Well, I'm just saying, somebody in, like, drastically assisted living in deteriorating health, their priority might not be to keep up with Flat Earth, even if they did discuss it on Usenet forums in the 90s. Jason says, wasn't Math Powerland in a TV sitcom or something? I don't think so. Stephanie says, photo or painting act he did actually woke me up in 2015. Jeff says, I'm always suspicious whenever artists work on projects. I consider them part of the opposition. Comedian is an artist, just in my opinion. Eric Petersman says, in one of his stand-up videos, he'd use a projector and show two pictures of planets and Earth side by side. Ask the audio which was a picture and which one is painting. He's definitely talented.
Stuff like that, they already had an idea, like, they seem to already have this system of textures or ways to make textures. So they asked me to, I guess I was just filling in on somebody else's work, like a predecessor who went into retirement. And once in a while I would get calls from a gentleman who was the head of the graphics department, and he'd ask me to change the color on things or the lighting. And then what they would do is they would send me like a drawing or an architectural drawing of like an instrument that might be scouting the surface of a celestial body, be it a moon or a planet. And then they would ask me to transpose these objects on the textures, and they would give me certain directions of, like, the light is at this angle, this time of the day, at this intensity, and then I would have to make the shadows congruous to the information they would make, and I'd have to make it look real.
And can you explain to us what happened between your steady job that you just described and...
It wasn't steady. It was on and off, and it was freelance.
Okay. And what happened between that period and now? What is the turning point that made you totally dissociate yourself from what you were working for?
Was about a year after I...
So nobody knows who this is interviewing him? I mean, if that's a Russian accent, I do find that a little curious, to say the least. But
I met some of the people I was working with over the phone and on computer at a function, and I think it was kind of like somewhat of an initiation to this division of NASA. And there was one gentleman there that didn't work for NASA, but he was like a consultant for the U.S. Defense Department, GPS, and NASA. And he was a physicist and a painter. Very interesting combination. He was a well-known astrophysicist and a photorealist painter. Most people in the mainstream know him as a well, not even the mainstream, but in the physics circles, know of him as a scientist, but they didn't know he had this knack of photorealistic painting. and it's something that kind of kept under wraps. With me, however, I wasn't, very good photorealistic painter. I would say I was better than him, and I was better at recreating textures that don't exist. And there was a party at somebody's cottage in the Hamptons, and the power went out, and it was about 1 o'clock in the evening, and there was one gentleman who was friends with this guy. He was this consultant for the U.S. Defense Department. Now, this guy was basically a friend of one of my superiors and a colleague.
So what I'm finding right now is that Matt Boylan supposedly had a YouTube channel called Guy Waking Up in 2008 to 2009. And those channels were all deleted or removed, and the latest archives are from 2011, verified from him. So that's actually kind of interesting, isn't it? So I wonder if that was like if this is all a concerted effort, Psyop, I wonder how much testing it underwent in the 90s and early 2000s, and then the official rollout was 2011, culminating in the 2015 explosion all over the internet. There was a couple of articles actually written. There's the Flat Earth Phenomenon on YouTube by John C. Paolillo on firstmonday.org, and in this it claims that there's no videos before 2011. Before Matt Boylan's 2011 videos, there were no videos, so just mentions on forums, etc. So that's interesting. That would make Matt Boylan the first official Flat Earth video maker.
And basically, they started to, I think the conversation started turning around like something was about GPS coordinates weren't working or something concerning Antarctica, and so then he made a crack. This gentleman was working for the boat as a consultant, so it was like, I was like, well, so you should go out there and just and check this thing out, see if it's still functional. And then somebody made a quip to the effect that, well, if he goes out that far, he ain't coming back. And I asked, like, what do you mean, like, well, why wouldn't he come back if he can go back on his, because GPS doesn't reach that far. And then I was like, well, why doesn't GPS reach that far? I mean, is it too cold? And it's like, it's because it's flat. And they started laughing. They all started laughing. And my superior had quite a weird smirk on his face. He was watching me to see how I would take all this. And there was no lights on, and they had candles that they just lit. And then basically, he took out some chalk, and it was like a cement sort of plank floor of some sort, and he started drawing out the Earth, all the continents exactly, but how they function, everything, physics, science, how everything we understand in movement of energy and objects in this new or hidden science, hidden from the public, how everything is caused by temperature, as opposed to like this very evasive notion of energy with Einstein and Hawking, that there's 3 ingredients to make a universe: energy, mass, and and space. It was temperature. Temperature was why there's mass and energy.
And you believed him right away?
It made a lot of sense. But he basically started to avert everything. And they were kind of laughing, but they were they were listening to him. He seemed to be like kind of like this guy who was just this weird, I thought he was some sort of nut that these guys, like he's basically just like taking apart everything that they know or that they say every day in the office. He was basically explaining the flat earth and how it works. And he literally drew the UN flag. And I thought this is a joke on me. This is some sort of initiation to see if I'm stupid or to see if I'm going to buy this. I thought they were fucking playing with me to see if they could convince me it was flat. And what was creepy about the whole thing is that they were more laughing at me for not getting it. It never went back to it being a ball with these gentlemen that night. It might have been that at the office the next day, in front of everybody else, the underlings, but, and then for weeks, I couldn't think, everywhere I went, every time I saw a picture of the Earth, it was like just a logo, it was a painting, it was a graphic. And then I started to scrutinize the actual images of the Earth they claim are photos. And it just started looking silly, like a cartoon. Like, why is the water so blue if it's reflecting the blue atmosphere, but I could still see the brownness of Africa? Like, wouldn't I be seeing Africa through the blue atmosphere? Like, why is the green and the brown of continents so clear with the blue of the water when the water of the oceans is just reflecting the blue atmosphere? And how come the whole thing, being 3 parts water, isn't reflecting the blackness of space? Like, I started seeing all these flaws. And the more and more I tried to prove this guy wrong, or just to find out if they were joking or pulling my leg, the more I realized they weren't joking.
So what does everybody think? So what are the options here? He's telling the truth, but just because he's telling the truth about the story doesn't mean these NASA people are telling him the truth, right? So if he's not lying here, then that's what they told him, similar to Bob Lazar. And so he's simply repeating what he believes to be true, even if it's not true. Or it is true, or this whole story's not true, and he made all of this up, regardless of the shape of the Earth. Let's do a poll. What does everybody think about Boylan so far? So the poll is up. Is he telling the truth? Is he lying? Or are you too triggered to answer? Which would be very understandable, given this is one of the most triggering topics ever. Jeff says, I can't shake the feeling we were allowed to know what we know. It seems a bit like all the revelations are still controlled in some way. Yes. I need to do an interview with Austin Whitsitt, because I mentioned before, I asked him on one of his lives in the chat if he thought the rollout was intentional. And he kind of said that it obviously was very suspicious. The exact rollout, obviously, if this is a CIA Psyop, obviously it would be a multi-pronged rollout. So you might potentially have a Bob Lazar type. You might potentially have an MKUltra Manchurian candidate type, and anyone and everyone in between as well. So wow, 71% think he's telling the truth. 0% think he's lying. 29% too triggered to answer. Justin Johnson says everything is by design 100% scripted. And you know what's crazy? Even if that's true, it still doesn't tell you what's true or untrue, right? So if it's part of the script to roll out misinfo, it's part of the script to roll out true information. I mean, but that doesn't necessarily, even if it's all part of the script and all the world's a stage, it's still that's, I mean, it is important to know that. What do you think the masses are not allowed to know? See, the weird thing about Tartaria... Okay, let's get crazy here. Let's get mind-shocking. So Flat Earth seems highly suspicious in the way it was let out of the bag, per se. Tartaria strikes me as something entirely different. Because all of the buildings can clearly be visible. You know, the photographs that were always around... it almost seems like they did not want the true narrative of Tartaria out, so they co-opted it. So when they started noticing that people were noticing, it was just disinfo, co-opted dump all across the internet to try to muddy the waters of the mud flood Tartaria. And you can kind of see this in my series, The True History of the World. I only did 2 episodes so far, but I do have like another 3 coming. The whole Tartaria thing seems like an entirely different situation than the Flat Earth thing. Justin Johnson says discernment is imperative. Ryan Shee says, why tell us? Is it to distract us from something else? Well, yeah, they usually have more than one target, so let's not fall for false dichotomies. It seems like there's more than one goal for a lot of this stuff. Jeff U1P says, mixing truth with sneaky programming is highly effective and less detectable. Yes. But also, look at the response to it. Like, the response to Flat Earth was completely different than the response to Tartaria. It's just really interesting. And who remembers that series? Was it Survivors of Atlantis or whatever? That seemed to be kind of a catalyst for the overdrive in trying to control the Tartaria narrative. Ryan Shea says, did they do the same thing with Flat Earth? People were figuring out, so they co-opted it. Well, in recent years, it's weird. When YouTube kind of exploded on YouTube in later years, like post-2015. So did they control it? So was Math Powerland a test in 2008? Then they terminated the test, and then they rolled it out officially in 2011. And then in 2015, once it got super, super, super popular, they had to make sure they still controlled it. So even if they were the ones that rolled it out, they didn't want like all of these people that were not under their thumb. So then they want to own the people on both sides, both the flat earthers and the anti-flat earthers. That's one of the theories. CJ says hiding flat earthers is the number one priority. I don't know about that. I mean, it seemed like up to a certain point, like once it started getting out of control, maybe they didn't want it that out of control. Like look what happened with Bob Lazar and the UFO stuff. I mean, it was crazy popular, but it didn't take everything over. When did they, according to Mark Sargent, his words, they took down the scoreboard for searches on flat earth. They took the whole scoreboard down. So when every single kid is looking up flat earth on their phone in school, perhaps they didn't want it to go that crazy, and then they needed to rein it in. They wanted it just Bob Lazar level, with mostly adults, older kids. They didn't want practically the entire school-age population to be discussing flat earth full time. It's actually calmed down a little bit, I would say, in the past few years. Not a lot, but a little bit. Like, even if there are more flat earthers, like, it's been a little more calm in the mainstream, comedians making fun of it, like it being mentioned at almost every podcast. Like, even if there are more total members, more flat earthers in their, smaller communities, it seems like it's calmed down a little bit in the mainstream. Justin Johnson says, the people who woke us up to flat earth are in the club. Good cop, bad cop. We are living a script since a reset, his story. I still don't want to fall for false dichotomies. I think there are genuine people out there. Wow, that'd be wild. CJ says they want to move people into underground bunkers that think they are on Mars. I haven't heard that one before. That's an interesting extension. Is that some kind of extension of Bluebeam? And we never really talked about breakaway civilization, because there is a subset of conspiracists. They were a lot more popular before Flat Earth that actually believed that there were people physically living on Mars right now. And if Mars is a realm on this plane of existence that's simply being reflected above in the sky, perhaps that is true. But yeah, I mean, this is pretty crazy. This is pretty crazy, but I do think it's very interesting. Wow, that was in the Epstein files? Wow, we got to do more episodes. We gotta do more episodes on that. I mean, I saw a lot of cloning stuff in the Epstein files, but
What do you think you were the one that they spoke about? That they told that to?
I think there was some projects coming up down the pipeline. Mars, a few things that they wanted to know. I think the whole thing was to see how I would play ball. Like, let him in on it. He'll ask more questions, and we'll study his reaction. And if he has the proper reaction to maybe be part of the deception, we'll let him in on the next project, the next contracts that we want him to falsify, the next images we need him to counterfeit.
How many people were told the same information in the
These
company?
guys were all privy to it, but these guys were all high-placed people at NASA and the U.S. Defense Department.
Any other colleagues of your level that were aware also?
No. Everybody at my level was doing graphics, doing prototypes, and just they would never believe. And what am I going to do? I'm going to tell them? Well, then they're going to tell them. So I was really alone in this situation.
So, maybe he's a really good actor, but the way he answered that question kind of seemed genuine. Because he didn't just say yes or no, and he didn't make up a bunch of other stories. He recited, if he's not lying, he's reciting what his thoughts about it are.
Situation. And I did more and more research into this. Every time I came up to where to prove an equation, it was supported by an event that was created through mass media caused by NASA. Be it the moon landing, be it this, and then it was the moon rocks, and then Van Brouwer going to Antarctica to pick up rocks like 2 years before the first moon mission. Then the rocks just looked like, and then it came out a couple of years ago that John Glenn, when he went on this world tour to sort of like do a PR campaign, hey, we went to the moon, and he gave rocks to the Queen of England, and she gave those rocks to the museum in Amsterdam, and up until a couple of years ago, they found out that was just petrified wood. It wasn't a rock from the moon at all. So, I mean, like, everything's starting to come out now, but it's said once in the newspaper, almost like it's a revelation of the method, a he on everybody. But
That's also curious. He's talking about revelation of the method in 2008. Not that that wasn't known. I mean, obviously, Bill Cooper talked about it. I don't remember Alex Jones saying that exact phrase, but Bill Cooper did.
And how did you deal with having the information in your head and continuing to work on the projects you were hired for?
Well, after a while, extensions changed, numbers were dead, and I was not acknowledged. I didn't get through. I mean, even people I worked with, the agency said that they never even worked for them. So the whole thing looks like it's just like, so I look crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm telling you, like, the guys I work with, when I called back, you know, didn't, like, the agency saying they never worked for them, which I pretty much imagine is what they're saying right now.
This is also interesting because he's leaning in, making it even more personal. Usually when people are lying, they'll maintain their posture or even lean back and away. He's coming even closer so you can see his eyes even more clearly. Now, either he's a really good liar who studied all of this psychology, or he's telling the truth. Ryan, she asks, where is this guy now? So yeah, supposedly he has not been active or online in anything. Stephanie says, Math eventually spiraled with personal problems with his ex-wife several years ago, and I think his videos were put up on purpose to make him appear unstable. Jake, Flat Earth Jake mentioned something about that as well. That Powerland kind of seemed a little bit unhinged and that nobody gave him credit, and he was really the first one. And Mark Sargent also talked about it, because I think the documentary Beyond the Curve or whatever, they originally wanted Math Powerland, maybe, and then he either declined. There was some kind of an issue, and then Mark Sargent kind of basically took over where Math Powerland stopped. I wonder if Jake would be willing to do an interview with me, because we did go back and forth a little bit on his comments. He thinks Jake Flat Earth Jake, or formerly Flat Earth Jake. I think does he call himself Jake the A-hole now? It's kind of weird. Because he had some really logical takes. Some of his videos were the first I've seen. Powerland and Flat Earth Jake were some of the very first Flat Earth videos I ever saw. I think I saw those before Mark Sargent's. And yeah. And Jake seems like a really cool guy. Like, he plays music at nursing homes. Yeah, again, with the nursing homes, they keep coming up. I mean, he seems like a genuinely good guy. So, I don't know what happened with him in Powerland, but...
What they were going to say about me was the same thing. I mean, go ahead, call him up, ask if Matt Boylan, the comedian, ever drew paintings for NASA.
Alright, so... I actually just found an archived video here. It's labeled the first Flat Earth video by Math 2010 of the NASA channel. So let me play this video. Supposedly the first video was actually 2008, 2009, so I don't know if those were the comedy videos, and they weren't specifically Flat Earth, but here is this one, which was labeled 2010. So let's see this one.
We're going to be reproducing on this nebulous texture here the sun rising, our sun, the moon of Ipapopa, a distant moon they just discovered in 2008 off of Jupiter. It's like the 14th moon. And this is our sun rising Ipapopa.
Okay, hold on, my camera.
You get it?
What's the planet name?
Ipapopa.
Ipapopa?
New they found it. Okay, so this is me with the light.
Ready?
I don't know, call me crazy, but there seemed to be, like, just the body language and the demeanor of Math Powerland is completely different than Eric Dubay. Call me crazy. Eric Dubay kind of seems to match an MK Ultra programmed individual, whereas Math Boylan just seems very genuine. Is he the Bob Lazar of the situation? I don't know, there's just something very genuine about him. As opposed to Eric Dubay. Eric Dubay literally seems to be reading from a script in like this weird monotone. And like it's almost like he doesn't match the script. So some people allege someone else wrote the script. And of course, the graphics that he had in his videos were pretty impressive at the time. I mean, they were better than anything on like National Geographic or Discovery Channel. Like, for some of the animations, they were really incredible. Like, where did he have the budget to do that? We're not talking about now with AI and all of that. This was well over a decade ago. Justin Johnson says he's Jake the Awake now. And Don't Shoot the Messenger says Matthew Boyland is still posting on Instagram. What does he post about? Yeah, I don't have Instagram.
Take a zoom in there. if you want to paint.
That is really good, though. Look at that.
Hold on. This is rough.
This is definitely an old video, because he wouldn't be having that playing with all the copyright now. There he is.
I mean, we could really get the lighting exact, eh?
Oh yeah.
There he is, obviously, here. CJ says there's all kind of books published exposing flat earth from the 1800s even. Yeah, but it's a lot harder to know about the existence of those books without the internet. CJ says the very first movie ever made was about going to space. Was it? I don't think it was. Was it the Great Train Robbery? You're talking about the first feature film? Which movie? So I don't know if this was part of the original video, because if it was, then it probably would have been closer to 2011 then, but it says 2010 in this label. But yeah, so Math Powerland made those types of videos and the comedy stand-up, and supposedly they were the very first Flat Earth videos ever made on the internet. So there is a Math Powerland on Instagram. It says lifestyle artist and motivational speaker for the smart ones. Don't see any flat earth stuff here. Apparently you can access Instagram with Facebook. I did not know that. Let me see if I can see his posts to see if this is him. Definitely looks a whole lot older. He has white hair. I also wonder where the name Math Powerland Yeah, it's lagging like crazy. Nothing is loading here on his Instagram. Anybody that follows him, so what does he post about? I'm assuming no flat earth stuff, because I didn't see any of that come up. CJ says a trip to the moon 1902. Oh, I remember this. Oh wow, yeah, this is crazy. Yeah, it's a weird movie. Apparently, the Roundhay Garden Scene, 1888, was the first movie. 1880s, they had a bunch of movies. I also vaguely remember some Australian movie about some outlaw that was way early. '95 had a bunch of short films. Some of them were up to 20 minutes, actually. Let's see. And there was 1900. Some of them were really short, though, like 1 minute, 2 minutes. But officially, the first short film is The Waterer Watered in 1895. And then also The Mechanical Butcher, which was a sci-fi movie, 1895 as well. And then 1896 was The Haunted Castle and Post No Bills. Then The Fairy of the Cabbages, which is weird, that was 1896. Often cited as one of the first narrative fiction films. And I think Mind Unveiled did that for some of the Cabbage Patch Kids. Yeah, it was really weird. Super weird. But anyway, let's get to Eric Dubay here. I don't even remember where this video was originally published, but fair use. Again, Greg, whether CIA Psyops doesn't mean the information is fake or false. I mean, this is kind of a weird thing to say. His fiancée is the owner of a private school, Rhythm of Art. School helps NWO make people retarded. Doesn't seem like a professional video game. She is the daughter of a general in the Thai Royal Army. Okay, well, that's a little different. So Thailand is under military rule. Prime Minister is a general in the Thai Royal Army. Eric's fiancée is literally part of a ruling elite in Thailand. And this is made many years ago. Is he still with her? Is he married? Let's see if there's any information on that. And why did he move to Maine? He says he's living in his home state, but a lot of these records show that he's from the Langley, Virginia area. Huh, that is kind of weird. So yeah, his latest video is Back to Asia, I'm Moving. So yeah, I can't find anything on his current family history. Oh, wow. So the school, the private school of art, is in a Royal Military base? I don't know if they provide receipts here for this. They provide a lot of receipts, but I don't know if they provide receipts for this particular claim. So Eric Dubay presents himself as an anarchist and fighter against the NWO, when in real life he dates them. He has close connections. He's with part of a ruling dictatorial regime. Behind that Thai regime is CIA and NWO. Bold claims here. Bold claims. Oh, here come the receipts. Okay. Okay, doing some homework. No reviews. This is kind of messed up. I mean, why are you calling the kids retards? Now, obviously, there is a dumbing down of society, etc., the de-evolution and public education kind of, government-run public education kind of turning everybody's minds to rot. That's true, but, you don't gotta call them retarded. They look like they're having fun. They look like they're having more fun than American school kids. Interesting. Eric Petersman says he said in a video a while back that the Eric Dubay in Virginia is not him and that he only visited Virginia twice. Well, let's see the receipts here. Whether they have photos with his parents and records for the parents and their names and photos with him and those particular parents tied to Langley, Virginia or not. Okay, so apparently that is him and her, but their current relationship status unknown. I mean, I don't know who made this video, but they're really going at this school hard. They look like they're having fun. They look like they're having fun. So far, I haven't seen anything that shows the explicit dumbing down of anybody. They're just showing videos having fun. Okay, this looks a little weirder, but this definitely looks more Americanized. Fair use, obviously. The heck are they doing with that vacuum cleaner outside? Oh, that's his fiance with the vacuum cleaner? Okay, so they're catching on to the TikTok brain rot culture, but oh, that's his sister-in-law. Well, not his sister-in-law if they're not married yet. Yeah. Okay, this is kind of weirdo art that reminds me more of like American European weirdo art. What is the point of vacuum cleaning the street, though? Is there a point to that? I don't know. But whatever, they're having fun dancing. Who cares? Okay. That is a little weird. If you're a general in the Thai army, I mean, who knows how many points from the top he's removed from the leadership of the country. What would you think of a random American hooking up with your daughter? Unless the CIA, it's this kind of CIA arranged relationship. So he's going to their family dinner. So how does one become the fiance of a general's daughter? Like, I mean, call me crazy. It's a so if it was like some kind of poor farmer, I mean, maybe they would want some like relatively wealthy guy. And again, you know, middle, even poverty level could potentially be really impressive in Thailand. It used to be really popular in the 90s, especially 90s, early 2000s. Like, you could live like a whole year in Thailand on like, what was it, like $50 or $500 for a whole year. The American dollar was quite solid back in the day. But if you're a general, I mean, wouldn't you want someone Thai for your daughter? I don't know. Are they making fun of him? Who doesn't belong in this picture? The white guy? So, yeah, so does he know the prime minister? He knows the highest ranking officials? That's kind of crazy. Does that change anybody's opinion of Eric Dubay? Like, he's dialed in to the royal family of Thailand? I mean, does anybody find that weird? Okay, interesting. Eric Petersman says in the chat, he said he was never married to her, only dated her, never engaged, broke up years ago. He claimed she was abusive to him. So is that why he moved to Maine? Because he didn't want to be in Thailand anymore and get the wrath of these generals for the ended relationship? Justin Johnson says they are all playing a role. If you're big time, then absolutely. It's just kind of weird. It's just kind of weird. This random white guy, Wing Chun, he did Wing Chun and yoga? Wing Chun is pretty awesome, but... Like, how does one date the daughter of a general and get dialed into that society? That is kind of weird, too, because, yeah, the Thai regime has been known as corrupt with human rights violations, and he's supposedly, if Eric Dubay is posing as anti-NWO, pro-human rights, how is he dating? I mean, obviously, you're not going to hold that against the daughter, but are you going to be going to all the family dinners and interacting with these people? That's a different story, right? Like, you know, if you really care about the person, you I don't know what people do in that situation. They run away together or they keep their relationship secret, but you're going to openly hang out and eat with these people? It's kind of weird. Jeff says, Dubay looks like a guy who shouldn't be trusted. If you were street smart, you would see it in an instant, but I can't prove it, so take it like... No, I know exactly what you're talking about. His mannerisms, his speech patterns. Not that he's lying per se, but it's a total difference than with, like, let's say, Math Powerland. Math Powerland seems like a genuine guy, too, but I don't know. I kind of forgot what Jake said. Yeah, I don't want to... you know, bring up some rumors or whatever. But Pasture of Castle says she must have one hell of a karate chop. His daughter rebelled. Yeah, that's fine, but are they going to really invite the guy to dine with, like, the top generals? The top brass? Like, what kind of... A general would just instantly shut that down, right? If it was open. Like, yeah, I could understand her rebelling and sneaking around with some American guy. That makes total sense. But to be invited to, like, just be bringing him around to family dinners with top generals and brass of the military regime. I mean, that's just a little weird. Like... So they all go on national TV. Interesting. Interesting. I would say Dubay would seem a lot less suspect if he dated a Thai girl who was not connected to the military regime, but I don't know. I don't know. Pasture of Castle says Powerland was a clown. He has no body of work. Was a total plant. What do you mean? No body of work. His art is incredible. So they're on TV and magazines, this whole family. See, okay, in this case, so if you're talking about, like, the absolute top, like, fashion photographers and all the biggest magazines, yeah, they're obviously dialed in. When you're talking about possible imitators, like, replicating shots from, like, famous magazines without knowing what these symbols mean, see, I don't, like, some of these lower tier magazines in other countries, I'm not sure they're in the know. It almost seems like they're just, imitating shots they saw in more popular magazines. But who knows? This guy's really obsessed with this art school. Oh, man. Let's get more into Dubay. Like, the art school's the art school, whatever. All art schools are kind of weird. So they made pancakes one time with a Masonic one eye. Okay. Okay, I mean, I don't know what that proves. Slappy. I mean, this guy really, really looked into their social media history. Okay, so he visits her at the military base, so he has to have some kind of clearances, obviously. Okay. Also, is it, just call me crazy, but Eric Dubay, he's so, like, slender and frail looking for an MMA guy, or, like, a martial arts guy of any kind. I mean, yoga maybe, but even for Wing Chun, I mean, it looks like he has no power, but maybe he does. That is kind of a weird... So, okay, his fiance just doesn't know anything about him, or his anti-NWO stance, like, she's posting "Long Live the Queen of England"? That's kind of weird. That is kind of weird, though. So Eric Dubay, one of the top flat Earth guys, is dating a globe earther. Not that that's impossible, but it just it does seem a little weird, doesn't it? What the heck? 13 years ago? This post doesn't make any sense. 13 years ago? Wait, she knew him for 13 years? Or what is this? This is Eric Dubay from 13 years ago? He's like a kid? What? What is this post? He almost looks like an Eminem wannabe in the first shot. Was Eric Dubay a wigger at one point? How many times is he going to repeat this? So he's also hanging out with her grandma. I mean, how close were they? I mean, if they weren't engaged, I mean, how close do you got to be to meet the whole family, having dinner with the generals, even meeting the grandparents? I mean, that's not super casual, is it? Wait, I'm just catching up on some comments here. Hold on. Jeff says... Wait, hold on a second here. Ryan Shea says the tie-in to the royal family is odd, indeed. CJ says the shape of your spine has a lot to do with the consciousness you're able to tap into. Now this sounds interesting. Man, we got to do a podcast on that. That sounds very interesting. Where did you get that from? Is that yoga? Yeah, Jeff says that would be the joke of the regiment. What general would let his daughter date or marry a flat earth moron, in quotation? That is funny, right? Like, how is the royal, how is, like, I don't know how many degrees he's removed from the top royal family, but he's equal rank to the prime minister as a general. He's hanging out with the general's mother, or whatever, the general's wife's mother. Oh wait, Eric met my grandma, so that's her grandmother. Yeah, okay. So that's either her father or mother's mother. He's hanging out with the grandparents? Like, it's almost like a bad sitcom, the joke of the regiment. Yeah, what did everybody else think? Like, what did this general's co-workers, like the other generals, and I'm assuming he knows the prime minister himself, they're both generals, and it's a military dictatorship. Like, what do they all think of the daughter dating a flat earth Wing Chun yoga guy? Like an American, like this flat earth white guy. Are they just joking around it at the water cooler? Like, what is there? Like, they're a serious military dictatorship that violate human rights on the daily. What did they think of Eric Dubay? I mean, this whole thing's like a sitcom, right? Like, what is this? What is this? CJ says, I hung out with a 4-star American general at the yoga retreat I worked at. What did you talk about flat earth at all? Yeah, this guy's really obsessed with this art school. I mean, the art school is less suspicious than all the military ties. Wow, interesting. So, wait a second. After Eric was exposed on Facebook, so basically he was Eric Dubay on Facebook. And so then people found out that that was the same Eric Dubay that makes the Flat Earth stuff. She changed her name and hided all her pictures. Eric hides his life now, not from the NWO, but from the people in the truth movement. I don't know, is that the face of a guy you would trust? She actually looks really good from that angle. I would not have called her attractive from any of the other photos, though. Definitely not. No offense to Eric Dubay. Yeah, she looks like a completely different person in all these other photos. Man, this guy's tracking her travels based on the social media. This guy did some homework, I have to say. Definitely did some homework here. But I mean, this is Thai royalty. Or Thai connected. I mean, obviously they're going to be traveling the world. I don't know what that has to do with anything. So he's dating Thai elite with the military dictatorship of Thailand. I mean, that is kind of weird. So he made a video against the military the same day he went in the home of a Thai general dating his daughter. These are the lyrics here. Yo, I made a decision like 10 years ago. I'm on a mission. I wrote it down. Here's what it says, bro. I'm going to end the NWO on my own. Yeah, I know it sounds pretty egoistic and optimistic. But someone's got to do it, and I'm a mystic. I saw the future, and when they finally find and kill me, that's okay. So he kind of was a wigger, huh? He kind of looked like one in those old photos, like he was like an Eminem wannabe. But he's dating the Thai daughter. Now, what is the potential here? Is anybody going to argue? Are there any Eric Dubay fanboys that are going to argue he was only dating the daughter to get more information on the Thai military elite? So far, I haven't heard anybody argue that, but I wonder if anybody's going to argue that. Greg says the state of your fascia will dictate your entire energy system. Wait, what is Rolfing? Rolfing adjusts your neck, can change your personality. Rolfing? Structural integration. Okay, we definitely need to do a podcast on this. Rolfing is the holistic system of soft tissue manipulation and movement education. This sounds very, very interesting. Yeah, I did not know this. This needs a deep dive. Hopefully CJ and Greg will join us for that one. CJ says he's probably like most guys and just got whatever girl he can get. Okay, you can argue that in the United States. In Thailand, they really do like Americans. There's none of that there. I mean, as a tall, rich American, rich by their standards anyway, and possibly actually rich. No, he would have had quite the pick, which it seems he does, right? Because if he got Thai royalty, that can't be easy. Jeff says if my daughter would came home with that guy, shake my head. But imagine you're a top general. I mean, like you're a top general, and your daughter brings home a wigger, a flat Earth wigger, a scrawny beanpole flat Earth wigger. No, it's not even that. Like, I really want to hear the conversations that the other top brass had about this general's daughter and Eric Dubay. Like, what were they saying? Especially back then. To be a flat earth wigger back then. I mean, now, like, so many people... I mean, it would still kind of... Like, even now still, but, yeah. John McClure says being a yoga teacher is sus alone. How is that sus? Greg says Rolfing is rooted in Eastern wisdom. Yeah, I gotta get on this. I gotta do some Rolfing deep dives. That sounds very interesting. It clears up your energy channels or something, releases factors impeding your sovereign awareness. Yeah, I could totally see there being something to that. Darth Mocker says, too bad he can't get along with the other flat earth guys and girls. CJ says he's probably mogging over there because he's seen his higher status, so he got with a girl with good, clean energy, family stuff, whatever, hygiene, nutrition. I mean, call me crazy, but this girl's not even really... I mean, what would you rate her out of 10? I mean, she does not seem like extremely attractive. I mean, status with the family, sure, but there are plenty... I mean, I wouldn't even call... I would call her below average for a Thai. Did he just get with her for the money and the status? But even then, like, how did the general allow this? So he got a super rich Thai girl connected to the ruling elite. So they were living together too? What did the general think about that? Man, this guy's really stalking her. She's buying a house. So basically she removed all photos of Eric after he was revealed to be the same Eric Dubay as the Flat Earther. Oh wow, this actually was not... This wasn't even the video? Hold on a second. So this was not the video exposing his records in Langley with his parents. Where is that video? Oh man, we might have to do a part 2 on this if I can't find that one. Yeah, I can't find it. I thought that was the video. So the video that I had, it actually showed that it was the same Eric Dubay, and there were photos with the parents, and the parents were all registered in Langley, Virginia. And I think they worked for the government in Langley, Virginia. I don't know, I don't think it said CIA, but it was some kind of government entity in Langley, Virginia. I'm trying to find, let me see if I can find it again. So I see a new video here that's showing him... Wait, hold on, maybe. This one's new, so it does show him living in Maine now. So there was a $100,000 vaccine settlement or something. Man, I can't find that old video. Yeah, somebody put together a video, and this was years ago, way before AI. I mean, this was like pretty much maybe a year or two after Dubay got popular. And they had all the Facebook photos of his parents in Langley, and then them also visiting him in Thailand and stuff like that. I mean, I guess they could be photoshopped. Yeah, I mean, they could have been photoshopped, I guess. But it looked like such a low budget video, but yeah, I can't find it now. It looks like it was removed. I don't know, this is weird. I found another Eric Dubay in Maine. But it's a different Dubay. This Dubay was 39 years old in 2012. This is weird. So if Eric Dubay is trying to pretend not to be the Dubay from Langley, so he goes to Maine to take the identity of this other Dubay, because there is an Eric Dubay who got a vaccine settlement payout in Maine, but he was 39 years old in 2012. And supposedly Eric Dubay is 35 right now in 2026. This is weird. So there's two Eric Dubays from Maine who both got vaccine injury payouts. Anybody find this weird? And you can find this on newscentermaine.com. The name of the article is called Federal Tax Dollars Protect Big Pharma from Dangerous Vaccination Lawsuits by Christina Rex, July 30th, 2018. So that's kind of interesting. So there's an Eric Dubay in Langley, Virginia. There's another Eric Dubay in Maine, and supposedly this is not the Langley one. But so there's two Eric Dubays in Maine who both got vaccine settlements. I mean, vaccine settlements are kind of rare. I mean, the government just doesn't give those to everybody. Well, even if he's in his 40s now, that still doesn't, because this guy was 39 in 2012. So that doesn't match either. I don't know, Google says he's 35, but okay. That wouldn't be him in Maine, Greg, because then he would have been 39 in 2012. So if Eric Dubay was born in 82, he would have been 30 in 2012 during this vaccine payout. So there's 2 Eric Dubays from Maine that got vaccine payouts. I think the other video I saw actually had the records of that settlement, and I believe it was in Virginia. I mean, it's been a while since I saw that, but I'm not 100% that it was in Virginia, but they had some kind of documentation. And I'm pretty sure all the documentation was in Virginia, and the Langley, within 20 miles, everything was within 20 miles of Langley, Virginia. Yeah, I really thought that was the video. Apparently it was not the video. We're gonna have to do a part 2, where I gotta bring more receipts. Because this video was very damning. The one I just played right now was mostly... I actually didn't know that about his previous girlfriend. So I must have... Yeah, that was the only video I have in the Eric Dubay folder. So there was definitely another one that I primarily wanted to go over, but... I'm gonna try to find it for another minute or so, and if I can't, then we'll just do a part 2. I'll put up one more image of Dubay, because he did those videos dancing in a dress or something, like at least 1, if not 2 or 3. But, I mean, who thinks this guy is trustworthy right here? Some people also say that he was legit and he was killed or something, and then that's not him or whatever. Obviously, there's always a theory like that, but... You know what's kind of crazy, though? All mentions of Eric Dubay in Langley, Virginia have been scrubbed from the internet. And I don't have the original URLs, so... I don't have it. Isn't that crazy? Because when I first downloaded the video, I was specifically... Because it was mentioned on a forum. I don't remember which forum. It might have even been the Flat Earth Society forum, or it might have been one of the Reddits. And actually, it might have been Above Top Secret, actually. It might have been Above Top Secret. They were talking about Eric Dubay, and someone posted the info on Langley, Virginia. And then it was also in a video that used the records. And they posted, and then I searched it and I found the video. Now, if you search Eric Dubay, Langley, Virginia, or Eric Dubay, Virginia, nothing comes up. It's all been scrubbed. Even in the uncensored, not just Google, obviously, but even in the uncensored search engines, nothing comes up. And yeah, they had all the info on his parents and everything. Actually, so yeah. Yeah, I got nothing. I got nothing here. Yeah, I got nothing. We're gonna have to do a part 2 on this, so let me just do the last catch up on the last comments here and we'll round this out. Justin Johnson says he woke us up to truth, but only as part of the script, in my opinion. Ryan Shea says, that's hilarious. We watched the Flat Earth Ding Dong with Thai royalty. My life is now complete. CJ says, we could just get him drunk and ask him. Reed Deeply says, it does look like satire. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody was saying it wasn't satire, but the fact that it's just the fact that you did it. Would you do it? Would any of the men here go drag just for satire? I would never do that. Satire or no satire. Like, that's just not something you do. I mean, are you going to do... Like, what kind of moral degeneracy are you going to gauge in just... And say, even if it is really just for satire, are you still going to do it? It's kind of weird. Greg says, the Eric Dubay in Maine, born in 1982, has a father named Roger Dubay. If you Facebook Roger Dubay, those very much look like his parents. I wonder how much AI has manipulated all of that. Because I distinctly remember all the information on him and his parents with photos all documented, including his parents visiting him in Thailand, and it was all from Langley, Virginia. And now that's all scrubbed. Yeah, in the follow-up, I'll see if I can find archives of that. If that really was above top secret, I'll check their old archives, and then I'll look up all the stuff in Maine. But I wonder if that stuff was all manipulated after the fact, because obviously that's very easy to do nowadays. Jeff says, nothing satirical to me, dressing up like a woman, more like insane humiliation. Yeah. I mean, yeah, even if it is satire. Whether it's satire or not. Reed Deeply says, I can't stand AI for this reason. Everything is sketch. Well, yeah, that's why we have, like when I looked up this stuff, it was probably 10 years ago. I mean, it was within 1 or 2 years of his rise to fame. It was pretty early on. People, like always, there's always at least one crazy person, right? That's just, exposing stuff. And they had all the receipts. And it was all Langley, Virginia. I did have it all saved on my old computer. And I just don't have it anymore. But I thought it was like kind of common knowledge too, because I remember other people talking about it. Maybe even ODD TV, possibly. Yeah, so I do remember other people talking about it. So I didn't think it was going to get scrubbed. I should have known better. Assume everything will always be scrubbed at all times. I mean, I do that for like the more sketchy stuff. But this was just so openly discussed. Like that above top secret thread was pretty popular. They were talking about it on Reddit too. And then there was at least 1 or 2 people talking about it on YouTube. And I didn't bother to save that video at that time, but then I saved it later and it was still up, but now I can't find it. Reed Deeply says, I trust more what I remember than I can Google now. Yeah, me too. That's why I'm telling you guys. The Langley, Virginia stuff was all real. I mean, unless it was Photoshopped, but I definitely saw it. All of that, like all the records. Somebody went through the trouble of fabricating all of it if it was fake. But now it's all been scrubbed. Even if it were fake, why did it get scrubbed? There's a ton of fake stuff. Like, most of the fake stuff's still all up. Why would it get scrubbed? Yeah, I think, what was the first purge? Was that 2010 on YouTube? Like, 2010 was probably the best year on YouTube. And I believe the first purge occurred somewhere around there. But then everything kind of got re-uploaded, and then what was the year of the second purge? Was that 2012, 2013, 2014? And then there was a third purge somewhere around 2017, 2018, and then since then, YouTube has not been great. But yeah, we'll have to do a follow-up with all the Langley stuff. So thanks again, everybody, for joining us. If you want to help support the MindShock podcast, help logic and reason return to a world where it's quickly going extinct, you can donate to our PayPal. Check the link in the description. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share, Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Patreon. This is Bruce McGuire signing off. Catch you guys next time.